I never thought picking up that beat-up Gibson by the side of I-95 outside Philly would unravel the lie that had gutted me for 8 years. It was the same stretch of highway where my brother Jake had died in a crash they pinned on me. DUI. They said. My fault for covering his ass one too many times. But as I strummed those rusty strings that first night in a Fleabag motel, the chords whispered back secrets I'd buried deeper than his grave. Secrets that turned my grief into a blade sharper than regret. The rain hammered the motel roof like God's own judgment, and I was 3 whiskeys deep, staring at the guitar like it was Jake's ghost mocking me. That's when the first note hit, E minor. Low and mournful, and it cracked something open in my chest, spilling out the truth I'd swallowed whole. Jake wasn't dead. He'd faked it all. Left me holding the bag for his debts. His enemies. His goddamn sins. Emery Kane. That's me, 34. Ex-line cook turned freelance fixer for low-rent mobsters in South Jersey. The kind of guy who patches leaks in your life so you don't end up floating in the Delaware. Growing up in Camden, it was always Jake and me against the world. Him the golden boy. Quarterback dreams shattered by a knee injury at Penn State. Me the shadow. Cleaning up his messes since we were kids stealing smokes from Pop's corner store. Pop died of the cancer when I was 16. Mom OD'd on pills a year later, left us with a shotgun shack and a stack of bills that smelled like desperation. Jake promised we'd make it out, but he always dragged me deeper into the muck. That night on I-95, it was late summer 2023. Humidity thick as regret. I'd just wrapped a job for Vinny the Nose Russo, delivering a package that wasn't pizza to a warehouse in Wilmington. Routine shit. But the payout was light, and my truck was coughing like a chain smoker. That's when I saw it, the guitar case. Scuffed black vinyl. Half buried in weeds by the breakdown lane. No car in sight. No accident markers, just abandoned, like someone tossed their soul out the window. I pulled over on a whim, the highway whooshing past like indifferent traffic. Inside was a '62 Gibson J45, neck warped but body intact, strings oxidized to a dull bronze. It smelled of stale smoke and pine resin, like Jake's old dorm room. He used to play it in high school, finger-picking Dylan covers that made girls swoon. Last I'd seen it was the night before the crash. He'd pawned everything else but swore he'd keep the guitar for when we hit it big. I slung it over my shoulder, felt the weight settle like an old friend, and drove on to the Pine Barrens Motor Lodge, a roach trap off exit 14 where the clerk didn't ask questions. In the room, peeling wallpaper, bed sagging like my conscience, I tuned it as best I could, the E string snapping on the first crank. Fuck you, Jake, I muttered, but I kept at it, borrowing a spare from the motel's ancient jukebox in the lobby. Back in a room, whiskey bottle in one hand, pick in the other, I played. Not well, my fingers were calloused from knives. Not frets, but the vibration hummed through me, unlocking memories I'd duct-taped shut. The crash report said Jake lost control on black ice, veered into a guardrail, fire so hot it melted the frame. Toxicology showed oxy and bourbon in his blood, my blood type. They joked at the inquest, but I knew better. I'd been his mule for months, fetching scripts from shady docks in Atlantic City, mixing drinks to keep his pain at bay after the knee blew out again in a bar fight. That night, he'd called frantic, I fucked up bad. Vinny's boys are coming. Take the fall for me, just this once. I'd driven him to the drop, waited in the truck while he botched the handoff. Gunshots echoed. Tires screeched. He vanished into the pines. Left me to face the cops with a planted flask and a steering wheel dusted in his prints. They charged me with manslaughter, vehicular homicide. I took the plea, 5 years at SCI Greaterford, paroled after 3 for good behavior. Emerged a ghost, no family, no prospects. Just Russo's crew sniffing around for a guy who owed favors. But the guitar. It sang. I played The Times They Are A-Changin', Jake's favorite, and midway through the bridge, a chord bent wrong, F sharp minor instead of major, and it hit me. The scar on his left hand, the one from a childhood fishing accident. The body they pulled from the wreck? No scar. Coroner wrote it off as burn damage. But I'd seen it. Held his hand at the fake funeral. My blood ran cold. Jake was alive. Out there, breathing free air while I'd rotted. Betrayal doesn't taste like ash. It tastes like the copper tang of your own veins splitting. I smashed the whiskey bottle against the wall, shards glittering like broken promises, and vowed right there, I'd find him. Not for justice, for the kind of reckoning that leaves scars no guitar can heal. Morning came gray and unforgiving, the Pine Barrens fog rolling in like a bad omen. I pawned my watch for gas money and hit the road north, guitar riding shotgun like a co-conspirator. First stop, our old auntie's place in Trenton, the one who handled Jake's estate. Auntie May, chain-smoking widow with a tongue sharper than her bridge tabloids. She met me at the door in a muumuu stained with Folgers, eyes narrowing like I'd risen from the dead myself. Emery Kane, as I live and breathe. Thought the pen would keep you longer. Her hug smelled of menthols and mothballs. Overweak coffee in her Formica kitchen. I probed gentle. Jake's stuff. Did you ever get that guitar back from the wreck? She paused. Cigarette dangling. Wreck? Boy. That thing went up like the 4th of July. Impound lots sold the scraps to some collector in Newark. Why? I played dumb. Mentioned finding a similar one. Strummed a few bars on the spot. Brought it from the truck. Her face lit up. Lord. That's Jake's. The one Pop gave him. How? Lie came easy. Picked it up at a flea market. Thought it might be. She bought it. Or pretended to. And spilled a letter from Jake. Postmarked 6 months after the crash. From Reno. Said he was starting over. Clean. Sent a check once. Then nothing. Warned me not to tell, said you'd understand. Understand? I'd understand a bullet. The address was old, but Reno meant casinos. Meant debts. Jake always chased the high life. Poker tables and showgirls, while I scrubbed grease traps. I thanked Auntie. Pocketed the letter's envelope for prints, paranoid habit from the joint, and peeled out, heading west on I-78. The guitar thrummed in my lap as I drove, fingers itching for strings, for answers. Interstate blurred into Appalachia, then flatlands. My mind a loop of what-ifs. What if he'd really died? Would I still be this hollow? But no, the scar. The letter. He wasn't just alive, he'd orchestrated it. Planted the evidence. Bribed the coroner maybe. Vanished with a new name. I'd borne the weight. Lost my job at the diner. My girl Lena, who couldn't wait through visiting hours. My freedom. All for him. The brother who'd sworn blood oaths over backyard bonfires. By nightfall, I hit Pittsburgh, crashing at a dive bar called the Rusty Nail, steel town haunt with peanut shells on the floor and jukebox full of Springsteen. I nursed a Yangling, guitar case open on the bar, drawing stares from truckers and burnouts. A guy named Hal, ex-con with a scorpion tat, sidled up. Nice axe, Brother. Play something? I did, knocking on heaven's door, slow and venomous. Crowd hushed, then clapped sparse. Hal bought the next round. Leaned in. Sounds like you've seen some shit. Me too. Lost my sister to a bad deal. Guy named Jake Kane. Ring a bell? Slick fucker. Owed her for pills. Ghosted when the heat came. My grip tightened on the neck. Jake Kane? Describe him. Hal did, tall. Crooked grin. Scar on the left hand. Bingo. Turned out Jake had been slinging pharma in the tri-state before bolting west. Hal had a lead. A buddy in Ohio saw him last year. Going by Jack Kane, dealing cards at a Columbus casino. Watch your back, Hal warned. He's slippery as eel shit. Slippery. That's what made him the villain. Not just the betrayal, but the charm that masked it. Jake could flip a room with a joke. Turn enemies to allies over a handshake. But me? I was the blunt instrument, the one who took the hits. As I left the bar, rain slicking the lot, I smashed a side mirror on some asshole's F-150 just to feel something break that wasn't me. Ohio welcomed me with cornfields and despair. 70s stretching like a scar across the heartland. Columbus loomed, lights garish against the dusk. I checked into a Super 8, the kind with Bibles and drawers and stains you don't ask about. That night, alone with the guitar, I composed my first real piece, not a cover, but raw, verses about brothers bound by chains. Choruses of fire and flight. It poured out, ugly and true, healing the cracks even as it widened them. Next morning, I hit the casino's Horseshoe, then MG. Flashed Jake's description to dealers, valets, anyone with ears. Struck gold at a blackjack table, a pit boss named Rita, hard-eyed Latina with a voice like gravel. Jack Kane? Yeah. He worked here 6 months back. Good hands, bad luck. Left owing the house 20 large. Said he was heading to Vegas, bigger fish. Vegas. Of course. Sin City, where lies glitter like fool's gold. But Rita slipped me more. He'd been tight with a crew called the Silver Ghosts Ghosters. Identity forgers who specialized in dead man switches. Faked his own obit once, she laughed. Before your time. Probably. My time. The crash. It clicked. Jake hadn't just run. He'd killed James Kane clean. Left me as the patsy to tie loose ends. Rage boiled. But I played it cool. Thanked her with a Benjamin from Russo's slush fund. Back in a room, I called in a favor, Tommy Two Fingers, my old cellmate, now hacking gigs for Philly wise guys. Run a trace on Jack Kane. Vegas plates if you can. He texted back hours later. Hits on socials. A LinkedIn under consultant. Address in Henderson. Suburbia facade for the damned. I drove through the night. Guitar my only companion. Strumming air chords to stay sane. Dawn broke over the desert. Mojave mirages taunting. Henderson was cookie-cutter hell, stucco houses, sprinklers hissing on crabgrass. Number 47 Elm was a ranch-style Ford F-150 in the drive, Jake's old ride. Repainted. Heart-pounding. I parked a block away. Watched. He emerged at noon, taller than memory. Hair graying at temples. But that grin as he kissed a blonde on the stoop. Wife. Girlfriend? Kid's bike in the yard screamed normalcy. Normalcy he'd stolen from me. I gripped the wheel. Breath shallow. Confront now? Torch the place? No, the guitar. I grabbed it. Case banging the dash. And marched up. Door open mid-knock. Jake froze. Coffee mug slipping.
Ain't.
Jesus Christ. His eyes darted. Calculating flips. I shouldered in. Case open. Guitar thrust like accusation. Play it, I said. Voice steel. Or I tell your Barbie the truth about the brother you buried alive. He took it. Hands trembling, scar glinting. Fingers dance the frets. Stairway to heaven, ironic as hell. As notes filled the air, his mask cracked. I had to.
Eminência.
Vinny was gonna clip us both. The crash. It was mercy. For you. Mercy? I laughed. Bitter. You left me 3 years in a cage. For your freedom. He spun tales. Debts to Russo deeper than oceans. A mole in the crew. Faked death, the only out. I sent money to May. Kept tabs. Made sure you got paroled early. Lies. All flips. But the music woven. Softening edges. His eyes pleading through strings. The blonde, Claire, walked in then. Kid on hip. Jack? Who's this? Jake's pivot. My brother. Honey. From back east. Surprise visit. She smiled wary. But I saw the fracture. Over lunch, tacos from a food truck. Vegas casual, I probed. Guitar on my lap like a loaded gun. Claire chattered about her yoga studio. The kids' t-ball, Jake nodded. But sweat beaded. That night, they comped me a room at the Bellagio, Jake's pull. Alone, I strummed rage into melody. A revenge ballad half-formed. But doubt crept. Was he right? Had I always been the weak link? The one needing saving?
No.
The scar. The flask, it was all him. Day 2. I tailed him to a meet. Dingy strip mall. Silver Ghost's den. Overheard fragments, new identities. A job for a cartel runner. Jake was deep. Scheming flips for survival. I snapped pics. Sent to Tommy. Leverage. But as I watched him laugh with ghosts, charm intact. Something twisted. Healing? This guitar was key to poison. Not bomb. Climax brewed that evening. Back at the house. Claire cornered me in the kitchen. Kid asleep. He's scared of you. Emery. Says you hold grudges. I scoffed. But she pressed. He talks in sleep about a crash. A brother he failed. If it's revenge you want. Her eyes.
Sharp.
Don't poison this life too. Polarization hit. Her innocence. His semi-repentance. My thirst. I played for them after dinner. Original piece. Lyrics veiled. Brother's shadow. Fire's glow / who owes the debt when rivers flow. Jake joined on harmonica. Old synergy sparking. For a moment. Family flickered. Controversial.
Wrong.
Was forgiveness the revenge? Or cowardice? But dawn brought the twist. Tommy called. Prints on the envelope? Not Jake's. Claire's. Dig deeper. She was the mole. Fed Jake to Russo. Orchestrated the crash to cash in on insurance. Double indemnity for accidental death. Jake knew. Took the fall to protect her. Left me as buffer. I'd borne the sin for both, betrayed by blood and love unseen. I confronted in the garage. Guitar case open like judgment. You let me rot for her? Jake broke. She was pregnant.
Eminência.
The kid. Ours. In a way. Family. Claire confessed tear-streaked. I thought it was clean. But seeing you.
God.
The guilt. Decisions fractured. Call cops. Watch empires crumble. Walk. Let the desert swallow secrets. I chose the blade, metaphoric. Smashed the guitar over Jake's workbench. Shards of wood and wire exploding like truths. Heal this, I spat, and walked into the sunrise. Henderson fading. Epilogue months later. Back in Camden. I busk on the waterfront. New axe. Scars my strings. Jake vanished again.
Claire too. Kid with them.
Russo's crew thinks I settled scores. Whispers say I avenged. But the music? It healed. Twisted path. Revenge not in ruin, but release. Was I villain? Victim? Or the fool who strummed forgiveness? Debate that over beers, you decide. The drive back east clawed at me like barbed wire. I-15 bleeding into I-40. Desert giving way to dust-choked plains. No guitar now, just echoes in my skull. Melodies mocking the void. Henderson had gutted me twice. Once by Jake's half-truths. Again by Claire's web. I'd left them fractured. But whole enough to flee. My revenge. A neutered thing. More catharsis than carnage. Yet, as semis thundered past, horns blaring like accusations, I wondered, had the strings really healed? Or just strung me along? Pulled over at a Loves and Gallop. New Mexico, neon oasis for wanderers. Bought black coffee that tasted like regret. Scrolled Tommy's latest drop on a burner phone. Silver ghosts chatter. Jake and Claire ghosts now. New IDs to Canada. Kid renamed. Russo's antsy. Sniffing for loose ends.
Me? Top of the list.
I deleted the thread. Smashed the phone under my boot. Felt the crunch like snapping frets. Life pre-Jake's death replayed in fragments. Lena's laugh in our tiny apartment above the diner. Her red hair spilling like fire on the pillow. She'd stuck through the trial. Visits with smuggled commissary Reese's. My weakness. But prison walls thickened fast. Letters tapered. Then stopped. Last one. Can't carry this ghost.
Eminencia.
Free yourself. Irony, I had. Sort of. But freedom tasted sour. Resumed driving. Radio spitting classic rock. Dylan again. Like a rolling stone.
Fitting.
Rolled into Albuquerque by dusk. Checked into a no-tell off Central Avenue. Route 66 relic with vibrating beds and regrets baked in. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of Jake's scar-bleeding notes. Claire's eyes pleading through smoke. Morning brought purpose. Dark brood. Called Vinnie Russo direct, risky, but ballsy. It's Kane. The one you think's dead's breathin'. Want proof? His laugh barked. Jersey thick. Emery. You Sinuvovich. Thought the big house broke you. Spill. And maybe I don't send greetings. Met him at a diner in Kingman, Arizona, neutral turf. Pie greasy as deals. Vinny. Paunch ballooned. Nose twitching like radar. Over cherry slices. I laid it out. Jake alive. Claire's play. Ghost's involvement. Flashed pics from the tail, no guitar. Just evidence. His eyes gleamed. Calculating. You want back in? Or out? Controversial fork. Join the hunt. Flip to hunter? Or walk clean? Let wolves devour? Out, I said. But wire me enough to vanish, he countered. Deliver Jake. Get clean slate plus 50.
Flip.
I nodded, lied through teeth. Revenge evolved. Not mine alone. But proxy. Polarizing as hell. Was I avenging? Or just trading chains? Back on the road. I detoured south, Personal debt. Lena's trail led to Tucson. Real estate listings under her married name. Lena Hargrove, agent for Sunbaked Ranches. Found her office. Glass facade screaming success. She looked up from a desk piled with comps. Froze, same red hair. Softer lines.
Aim.
Whisper. Then steal. You shouldn't be here. Coffee offered. Black. No sugar, memory jab. We talked circuitous. My healing road trip. Guitar bullshit to soften. Hers. Married to a cop. Stable.
Kid on the way.
Missed you, I admitted.
The fall.
It was for family, she softened. Touched my hand, electric. I know now. Jake called once. From nowhere. Begged me not to hate you. Hate me? Never her. But the touch lingered. Controversial spark. Reclaim? Or let heal? I left with her number. Promise of beers no more. Driving north. Heart heavier than the Gibson's ghost. Oklahoma blurred. Panhandle winds whipping dust devils like demons. Stopped in Amarillo for ribs at a joint called Big Tex, meat falling off bone. Sauce sweet tangy like deception. Overheard truckers yapping Vegas scams. One mentioned a Jack Kane fleecing tables in Calgary.
Canada confirmed.
My play. Cross-border. Or feed to Vinny. Ethics frayed. Jake's betrayal deep. But Claire's twist, protecting unborn muddied. I'd borne the crash rap for his mess. But she'd engineered for love? No heroes here. Just survivors flipping scripts. Guitar's absence ached. I'd strummed clarity from chaos. Now silent. I second-guessed. Crossed into Kansas. Wheat sees golden under relentless sun. Topeka pit stop. Pawn shop for a cheap Yamaha. Nothing like the Gibson. But strings called. Played in the motel lot. Neighbors glaring. Hurt. Cash cover.
Pain raw.
Drew a crowd. Vet with a limp. Girl with tattoos. Shared stories, betrayals. Redemptions. Vet clapped my shoulder. Music's the real revenge.
Kid.
Makes M listen. Listened? Maybe. Wired Vinny chords on Jake's last ping, partial. Breadcrumb. He bit. Sent half up front. 10 grand. Ghost account. Felt dirty, but freer. Pushed east. Yamaha humming folk dirges. Missouri welcomed with rivers and rain. St. Louis arch gleaming like false hope. Crashed at a buddy's. Ex-con network. Couch in a walk-up overlooking the brewery district. Bud shared blunts and intel. Border crossings hot. Ghost smuggling routes via Detroit. Your brother's marked, he said. Russo's put feelers north. Nodded. Plotted. But night fell heavy. Called Lena from a payphone, old school. Thinking of you. Her voice. Warm. Miss the music.
Eminencia.
Play for me sometime. Promise hung. Controversial. Her life tidy. Mine shrapnel. Hung up. Strummed into dawn. New verse. Sisters of Mercy. Brothers of Flame / who's to blame in this crooked game. Illinois flats dragged. Chicago detour for anonymity. Wrigleyville bar. Cubs game droning. Sold out hope. Bartender poured Malort. Wormwood bite matching mood. Flirted with a brunette. Journalist type. Spilled half-truths over shots. Revenge story, she probed. The best kind, I quipped. Ends in song. Not blood. She laughed. Slipped card. If you write it. Call. Tempting expose? Or bury. Pushed on. Indiana tolls ticking like clocks. South Bend. Notre Dame's spires mocking faith. Motel there. Dreams vivid. Jake cornered. Guitar as shield. Strings snapping please. Woke sweating. Yamaha in arms. Played till fingers bled. Melody birthing. Twisted roads. Phantom loads, /healings, just the devil's code. Ohio again. But east. Cleveland's rust belt grit. Hal from Pittsburgh texted. Heard you're hunting. Need backup. Declined, solo heels deeper. But his lead, Jake surfaced in Buffalo. Smuggling line to Toronto. Border beckoned. Niagara's roar, distant thunder. New York state line. Autumn leaves bleeding red. Albany fog. Then throughway south. Guitars sang louder. Crowds at rest stops nodding. Busker vibe growing. One tip jar clink from a suit. Sounds like Springsteen. Got a demo. Laughed. Revenge as album? Approached Jersey. Pines familiar. Russo called. Chords good. Boys nabbed a ghost, singing like Sinatra. Jake's hold in Niagara Falls. Honeymoon's sweet irony. My gut twisted, deliver. Or derail. Controversial call. Warned Jake anonymous. Burner text. Run. Brother's ghost. Then fed Vinny a dud lead. Mexico, wild goose.
Why?
Guitar's ghost. Healing meant mercy. Not massacre. Polarizing as fuck. Hero to Jake. Traitor to Russo? Or just Emery? Flipping his own script. Jersey Shore hit like homecoming. Atlantic salt stinging wounds. Camden lights flickered. Shack waiting empty. Dropped the Yamaha at a shop. Trade for peace. Walked the waterfront. Waves whispering absolution. Lena met me at a beach bar. Wind housling her hair. Heard the music, she said. On the pier, your sound. We'd bridged calls to this. No promises.
Just now.
Kissed salt sweet. Controversial reclaim. Her ring glinting. But fingers laced mine. News trickled. Jake vanished clean. Claire and kids safe north. Russo fumed. But I was ghost. 10 grand seated a food truck gig. Spices over scars.
Nights.
I play acoustic covers at dives. Originals creeping in. Ballads of betrayal. Choruses of release. Healing? The guitar started it. But strings snapped truths. No one's all villain. All victim. Twist lingers. Did I save Jake? Or damn myself to what ifs? Debate over IPAs. Redemption's key turns both ways. Yours to strum. Winter gripped the Delaware like a grudge. Ice flows clashing under Ben Franklin Bridge. Mirroring the churn in my gut. Food truck parked at Penn's Landing. Cane's heat, slinging cheese steaks with a kick. Ghost peppers for the bold. Days blurred. Grease sizzle. Customer banter. Lena's texts lighting the dash cam. Nights, acoustic in hand. No case now, raw. Exposed. Composed by floodlight. Lyrics etching frost on windows. From ashes strung. The liar's tongue / brother's debt. The song unsung. 3 months post Henderson. Crack showed. Russo's shadows lingered. Unmarked sedan idling at markets. Whispers in supply runs. Vinny wanted Jake's scalp. My dud lead bought time. But trust's a fragile fret. Tommy warned. He's heatin' up.
Eminencia.
Flip or fry. I flipped inward. Hunted alibis. Buried deeper in normalcy. Lena anchored. Controversial constant. Her cop hubby. Mark, solid guy. Irish brogue. Blind to our history. Invited me to Thanksgiving. Turkey dry as penance. Kid on the way kicked during pie. I pressed ear to bump. Felt life pulse. Uncle M, she joked. Guilt nod. Stealing glances. Borrowed time. One night. Post-shift. We walked the Schuylkill Trail.
Her hand in mine.
This us, it's wrong, she murmured. But right feels distant. Kissed under sodium lamps. Polarizing pull. Love's revenge on loss. Jake haunted. Phantom chords. Mailed a postcard once. Niagara postmark. No return. Strings heal what fists can't. Forgive the flip. Brother. J, scarred hand implied. Burned it. But kept ash in a vial. Talisman twisted. Spring thawed. Cherry blossoms mocking renewal. Truck boomed. Reviews raving. Philly's soul with a bite. Booked a gig at World Cafe Live, busker to stage. Yamaha traded for a Taylor. Smooth as lies forgiven. Crowd packed. Vets. Hipsters. Hal from the Nail nursing a pint front row. Played the set. Covers laced originals. The Betrayer's Lament. Veiled Jake tale. Midway. Twists dropped. Dedicated to ghosts we chase. And the ones that chase us. Applause thundered. But backstage. Russo waited, flanked by goons. Nose sniffing judgment. Nice show.
Kane.
But Jake? Slippery fucker surfaced. Your tip stank. Heart hammered frets. Flipped. Heard he's in Montreal. Ghost safe house. Lie bot breath. Vinny eyed wary. One more miss. And your truck's a bonfire. Left with a nod. Shadows trailing. Lena called frantic that night. Mark knows about us. The walks. The looks. Stormed over. Her place tidy chaos. Crib half built. Mark loomed. Badge off duty, but fists clenched. You my brother's ghost? No, Jake's shadow. But venom aimed wrong. Argument erupted. Accusations flying. My sins aired, prison ink. Revenge roads.
Lena mediated.
Tears carving. I chose wrong paths. Both of you. Polarization peaked. Walk away. Let her mend? Or fight? Claim the fractured? Chose exile, grabbed keys. Fled to the truck. Drove aimlessly. Radio crooning Mellencamp. Hurts so good. Pulled over at the old crash site. I 95 weeds taller now. Ghost of Gibson mocking. There. Epiphany strummed silent. Healing wasn't the guitar. Or Jake's flight. It was the bearing. I'd shouldered sins not mine. Crash for his debts. Silence for Claire's secret. Now this triangle for love's folly. Revenge? Self-inflicted. Flips endless. Dawn broke. Resolve hardening. Wired Tommy final chords. Real Montreal lockup. Ghost's den. End it clean, I texted. Russo's reply. Slate wiped. Disappear. Did. Truck sold. Cash northbound. Border cross easy. Fake papers from old favors. Montreal buzzed French English. Poutine grease grounding. Tracked Jake via whispers. Dive bar on St. Laurent. Harmonica wailing. Entered Smokey. Saw him thinner. Eyes haunted. Claire at a booth with boy. Now 4. Gap-toothed grin. Heart flipped, confront? Or fade. Approach slow. No axe, just hands open.
Eminencia.
His voice cracked. Hug bone tight. Claire paled.
Kid hid.
Over beers Molson cold we spilled, his flips to survive. Her schemes born fear. My roads paved grudges.
The guitar, he said.
Broke it to break the cycle? Nodded. Healed by shattering. Climax crested gentle. Russo's hit confirmed. Ghosts raided dawn. Jake's cue to bolt further. Iceland whispers. I handed envelope. My cut.
Clean slate signed. Go.
But owe me a song someday. He pressed harmonica in palm. Cool metal. Scarred echo. Kid drew a guitar. Crayon bold. For uncle. Drove south solo. Border breeze forgiving. Philly welcome changed. Lena's text. Mark and I counseling. Space.
Granted.
Truck gone. But gigs lingered, open mics. Originals charting local air. Kane's Key, the ballad born. Revenge reframed. Twist in every chord. Summer peaked. Camden Festival, stage under stars. Crowd swaying. Played the set. Harmonica guesting phantom. Twist landed. Encore call. Lena front row. Alone, smile tentative. Post-show. Word soft. Heard the story in the songs. Proud. No reclaim. Just peace, controversial closure. Final flip. Russo retired. Heart attack irony. Jake's ghost untouched.
I
Teach guitar to at-risk kids. Scars as frets. Healing's key? Not found by road. But forged in fire. Betrayal's blaze. Mercy's melody. No happy neat. No tragedy stark. Gray as Jersey fog. Debate eternal. Who won the reckoning? Strum your answer. Years later. Postcard from Reykjavik. Sheet music. Jake's hand. Brothers' redemption reel. Played it first time. Notes dancing free. Laughed through tears. Unexpected. Indeed.